Guys, today I want to talk about Animal Company and just how I feel about the direction that the game has been taking. Hello and welcome back to some more Animal Company VR here on the channel. I am your host, Mr. Toast, and today we're going to be talking about quite a serious topic on the channel. And I feel like this is something that has been in the back of my mind for quite a while now, and I just feel like this is like the perfect time to go and talk about this. Because one thing with my content is I always want to make sure to be as straightforward and transparent as possible. Especially when my feelings about a certain game are very passionate. And it's actually something that I really care about. And in this case, we're going to be talking about Animal Company. And exactly how I feel about the direction the game has been heading. So, ladies and gentlemen, strap in, get your snacks, get your drinks, and prepare for this video, because this is going to be a pretty deep one to go and unpack. And I would love to see like what you guys personally think in the comment section down below, because this is something that I feel like not only I am facing, but I feel like a lot of you guys in the community may be feeling as well. So without further ado, let's go and jump into today's video on Animal Company. And I just want to say, like, right off the bat here, I'm not trying to be, like, a hater or anything on Animal Company. If anything, it is the polar opposite. I love this game, and I really genuinely care about it. And I just want to see what's best for Animal Company. At the end of the day, like, this is something that I've been playing for 7 months. I fell in love with the idea of the game, and I always want to support it in any way, shape, or form that I possibly can. So just keep that in mind when we're going and, talking about this video. I'm not trying to go out of my way to, like, attack Animal Company or attack their devs, because at the end of the day, they have done a fantastic job on what they've actually developed in this game so far. I mean, we have such a wonderful world to go and look at. We have, like, our main lobby here. We got the selling machine. We got, like, all the different maps we can explore. It is very cool to see what exactly they've developed throughout all this time in Animal Company. But again, one thing that I feel like that has just been severely lacking, and ever since really, the mining update came out, is I feel like ever since we got mines, the game has been almost on, like, more of a decline in a lot of ways. It was this update and the Backrooms update that were kind of like the last heavy hitters that I would really say about updates in the past. And I generally feel like the main reason why it feels like that is because they've almost lost the focus of what they've been developing. Because, the adventure mode and, like, the new item that they add into the mix, I feel like have been, like, the biggest pull for a lot of the fans of this game. And I feel like as of recently, they've been more or less focusing on doing things like, the arena mode, or going and doing, like, little mini game types of stuff. Kind of like what we had with the Moon update recently. It just didn't feel like, an Animal Company update. It just felt like something to go and, like, play around in, and then you were kind of done with it after, like, 5 to 10 minutes. Something that I feel like would have been a ton better with the direction that they took the Moon with is I wish that would have actually applied to the adventure mode. Instead of just being, like, a little map to go and, like, play around in and whatever, it would have been awesome to go and see, like, the Moon with, like, different monsters, possibly seeing, like, different caves to go and, like, mine meteorites. I mean, just to have, like, an actual reason for that to apply to the adventure mode. Because when you go and look at the rocket ship, there really isn't any reason why you would go and use that for anything in the game, other than just going, like, playing around and having a little bit of fun, and then just going and leaving it. It just didn't seem like that update really had as much weight to it as we had with, like, the mining update and the Backrooms update. Those were just, like, very massive drops that really did change the landscape of how we played the game. I mean, the mining update, all in all, literally changed the exact way of how we were able to go and experience and play Animal Company, all in all. Because not only did we go and get, like, the crazy caves and all that type of stuff, but also, I mean, we had, like, 3 to 4 different levels to go and basically, go and explore. It was just, like, this super crazy map. And plus, they added the new mining mechanics for us to go and try out in the game as well, which I generally think really did change the direction of just how Animal Company was played. And I just feel like when the mining update actually dropped, it changed the mechanics all for the better. Like, it gave us, like, more purpose to go and apply over to the actual adventure mode, all in all. You know what I mean? But I feel like, especially when, like, the Moon update came out. Oh my gosh, I did not realize you were following me. And that was very scary. It just feels like a lot of updates that came after, the Backrooms update and the mining update, that things just really did slow down for Animal Company. And I'm sure a lot of you guys also felt the same way. It just kind of feels like the weight of how each of the updates were dropped, they didn't, like, necessarily hit as well. And even when we first got, like, the mining update, something that was, like, super cool was when the bunker was closed and it had, like, a bunch of Easter eggs and stuff that players were going and hunting for. it was just like really cool. It was like well thought out. There was like a lot of ideas behind it. And honestly, it just had us looking forward to a lot of stuff throughout the week. And even something in a lot of the past updates that we had stuff to look forward to was basically like unreleased items kind of coming out in the mix for players to get excited about as well. Like, I don't know how they were able to do that. I assume it was just like a lot of moderators or like devs in the game that went out of their way to kind of like throw those into lobbies. But like, yeah, that was something that was super exciting to go and look forward to each and every single week. And I feel like we've kind of lost that direction, you know, for the last like 2 months of Animal Company. And I feel like a lot of you guys that are watching these videos probably feel the same way, that Animal Company just hasn't really, you know, felt the same as of recently. And I think a lot of that comes down to like the way updates have been kind of taken in the recent months. And I just want to make sure like this is a message to the devs as well. Like, I'm not just like bashing what you guys are creating, because at the end of the day, like, you guys are the captain of the ship and you guys are controlling the direction of where Animal Company goes each and every single day. But I just want to go and, you know, kind of speak my opinions, because I feel like, you know, a lot of other players in the community are feeling this way too. And I want this to be something that, you know, a lot of us can kind of like band together and, you know, share our like concerns and our love for the game. Because at the end of the day, I'm not saying these things because I hate Animal Company and I want it to fail and all these types of things, because I would never want that for really any game for all that matter. If anything, it's just I've been in the VR scene for a very long time, and I've seen like what's kind of driven, you know, certain VR games into obscurity and like made them kind of fall after a certain amount of time. And I feel like something that Animal Company has been really, you know, doing well so far is the fact that they update so frequently. I think that is something that is so very important for VR and keeping it, you know, very fresh, is, you know, making sure that updates, you know, are both consistent but also feel meaningful enough that players are going to be, you know, engaged in coming back over time, you know. But I feel like, especially in the recent updates, that is just something that's been kind of like, I shouldn't say falling off, but I'm going to use that word for now. I feel like with a lot of the recent updates, Animal Company just hasn't like really been bringing players back, because there hasn't been like updates that are just like, whoa, this is so crazy and so new, and, you know, also like applying to what players just love about the game. I feel like one of the biggest parts and reasons why I played Animal Company was the identity of what it was. You know, the beauty of Animal Company is they can really go and chase anything with the name that they have. But when I see Animal Company, especially with the name, the first thing that comes to mind is Lethal Company in VR. You know, and whether or not you agree with that statement, I feel like a lot of players can probably agree with that, you know, Lethal Company and Animal Company are very, very similar in a lot of ways. It's basically Lethal Company with, you know, Gorilla Tag movement. And I feel like that's exactly what they were marketing for a while, you know, with the direction of this game and where it was going. But as of recently, it feels like they've just been kind of experimenting with a bunch of random things that don't really apply to that idea, you know, with, you know, the arena mode, with the moon map and all that type of stuff. Like, it just didn't feel like, you know, what Animal Company has been, you know, going for the last however long. And what I really want to see is for them to just lock in, dude. They need to keep building on this like adventure mode and really showing this some love, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that is probably the thing that was the biggest, you know, update pull for a long time, was players, you know, getting excited about these new maps to go and experience and finding new monsters and finding new items. And I just feel like they haven't really been focusing on that as of recently. I mean, even like the Nextbots and Miss Karen and all that type of stuff over in the, you know, Backrooms map, that was like basically the last monster that we really seen as of recently. And that's been a while with all things considered. You know what I mean? Like, it has been a very long time since we've gone and seen like some of these like crazy new map updates and seen like, you know, new monsters and all that type of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I am not a developer. I'm not gonna act like I fully understand all of the work that goes into all this type of stuff. But I'm not sitting here just asking for like a new map to come out every single week and, you know, a new item to come out every single week. Because all in all, that's probably not possible to go and, you know, ask of these devs. Like, their team is only so big and they're only able to do so much stuff with Animal Company. But all in all, I just want them to try to focus on, you know, more meaningful updates and just have a bit more direction for their player base. Because again, like I was talking about earlier with like the moon update, like it felt like that was a big update to go and wait for, but it really didn't deliver, you know, the expectation of what a lot of players were hoping for. Like, when I saw the moon update, I was like, man, this is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like a new environment. We're gonna be able to go and explore and find like different caves. I was so excited for the moon update. And don't get me wrong, it was still like a really cool style of what they brought, but it wasn't Animal Company. You know what I mean? Like, they brought the new vehicles and types of stuff, but I feel like a lot of players, when they went and played with these vehicles, after, 5 to 10 minutes, they were already done with it. It was like something that was just like, fun to play with at the time, but it wasn't going to keep players around for a super, super long amount of time. And I think that was the biggest problem. I'm going to start sounding like a broken record, but going back in time to when I first jumped into the game, when they first added Haunted Mansion, that was something that was so new and so scary and so fun that it brought that experience of what Animal Company is. Going and exploring like this new map and like trying to figure out like what exactly I'm getting myself into and, finding the ghost lady or my girly friend and just going and exploring something that is so scary and so new, but also so fun and replayable. I think that was the beauty of what Animal Company is the fact that they really leaned into, that scary element of what makes Animal Company Animal Company. So let's go and have some closing statements. The number one thing that I feel like Animal Company has been kind of lacking as of recently is just identity. Especially with the recent updates, they've just been focusing on, adding experiences that are kind of trendy. It'll be kind of popular for a little bit, but falls off very quickly because there isn't as much depth to it. Number two is I feel like the actual maps of what they're developing. I feel like it'd be very important for Animal Company to focus on major updates like once a month, dude. If we could have something to look forward to that would give us the depth of mines or give us the depth of back rooms and stuff like that, I feel like that would really keep players engaged and looking forward to those massive updates to come out. Number three is new items, not reskins. I feel like that's something we've been seeing a lot more of compared to, like new items coming out. It's just a lot of reskins, getting added in the mix. Like if we were to go to weapons here, you're going to notice like a bunch of reskins. We got the bone shield, we got a pickaxe reskin, we got a crossbow reskin, we got a bunch of RPG reskins, we have a reskin of the revolver. I feel like reskins have been both helpful and also very harmful to the direction of Animal Company. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really cool to see some of these items in the way that they look, but it's not necessarily new. You know what I mean? It's just a reskin of these items. On top of that, new monsters and keeping things a little bit scarier. I feel like that's something that I really fell in love with, especially in the early days of Animal Company, was the fact of like the scary elements that they added. It was like not only like scary, but it was like family-friendly scary. You know what I mean? Like, it was still scary enough that it could scare me as a 25-year-old, but also it was still enjoyable by all ages of audience. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything that was, like, impossible for, like, younger people to go and play, too. And the last and final thing that I think they need to really focus on is just direction. Their original idea of what Animal Company is, and just focusing in on Animal Company. Not what all these other games are trying to do and whatever, because at the end of the day, players are coming back to Animal Company for Animal Company. If they want to go and play another game for Arena or like FPS or go and play hide and seek and all this type of stuff, they have those other games to go and play for that. So I think Animal Company just has to focus in on like their identity of who they are, what they bring, and what makes the game so fun for those aspects. But at the end of the day, these are just my opinions. So if you guys do agree or disagree, be sure to go and drop some comments down in the comment section below. I'm going to try my best on this video to read as many comments as possible and just see what you guys personally feel about this as well. But with that being said, guys, that's going to make it for this video of how I feel about Animal Company at its current state. If you did end up enjoying this video and like to see more content made on the game, I definitely suggest going and clicking that subscribe button right down below. But yeah, with that being said, guys, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, keep it toasty, my friends. Laters! I got some shells for you, boy! Oh, it's in his eye! Oh, I fixed it! I would have died!
Well, right here.
Armageddon! Yeah! Why in the heck do you not have clothes? You took my banana, and now you must suffer the consequences!